To get to the front sprocket, two 5mm Allen bolts need to be removed. Pull the cover off to expose the sprocket and then move to the rear axle. A 24-inch breaker bar makes loosening the nut easy. Remove the nut, then the washer, and if you want to, mark the chain adjuster for easy reinstall. Make sure your fingers don't get caught when removing the chain adjuster, and gently tap the axle with a soft mallet to completely remove chain tension from the left side adjuster. Next, the sprocket bolts can be loosened and removed. The sprocket retainer can now be rotated to line up with the countershaft splines for removal. The sprocket will now slide out, and since we loosened the chain adjusters, the extra slack makes separating these components easy. Here we can compare the spline contact of the original sprocket to the aftermarket sprocket on the right side. After 200 miles, here is the countershaft. The new sprocket can now be installed and should go on without much pressure. The chain can sometimes cause difficulty, but with minor adjustments, the sprocket should slide all the way on with ease. Because the sprocket retainer is designed to fit in one direction, it will only seat properly if oriented correctly. You can use your original sprocket to identify the right orientation before reinstalling. Hand thread the bolts and then lightly tighten them down. To reposition the chain, start with the left side and pull on the sprocket so that you can situate the adjuster at a low setting. A few taps will ensure the axle is situated against the adjuster, and now you can return to the original setting. Follow up by installing the right side chain adjuster and rotating as necessary. Then install the washer and the axle nut, and before tightening the nut, tap the axle in again from the left side and attach a wrench to prevent the axle from rotating as you tighten the nut. Snug the bolt up and then use a torque wrench to accurately tighten the nut. Then go ahead and torque the front sprocket bolts. You just have to watch out for the electrical wires when installing the front cover, and the cover should go on without resistance. On these cover bolts, the manual calls for a thread locker but does not specify a torque value. Finally, recheck your chain tension and adjust if necessary.